to not make mistakes in accounts payable is an important topic because mistakes in accounts payable lead to duplicate payments, fraud, and incomplete regulatory compliance. Little mistakes in accounts payable can lead to significant financial losses. In this piece, we'll review some basic ways to avoid errors, as well as focus on practices that are not always followed, but should be. Stick around until the end when we discuss two issues that most don't consider when they think about making mistakes that get made in accounts payable. Mistakes that often lead to duplicate payments, which are rarely returned, and worse. Hey guys, I'm Mary Schaefer, founder of AP Now, the place where you go for all the latest business intelligence you need if you work in, manage, or have responsibility for the accounts payable and/or payment function. Whoever said the devil is in the details must have been thinking about accounts payable. But that's only the beginning. But let's start by focusing on the details, and in this case, the invoice details. So, mistake number one with regard to invoices. You should create a strong invoice handling policy that includes a rigid coding standards and has a documented policy and procedures manual. Without that, you're up, you know what's creek. Today, strong invoice handling also means having good processes in place to identify duplicate invoices. Because as you know, as many as 25% of all invoices are sent more than once. And if an invoice is sent more than once and processed more than once and paid more than once, you have that dreaded duplicate payment. Okay, mistake number two revolves around the matching process. If you want to avoid problems here, or you want to have the most accuracy, you want to use the three-way match to ensure you are paying the correct amount. And of course, you want to update your ERP system as soon as that invoice is processed and scheduled for payment. This is especially important when you're trying to avoid duplicate payments and when payments are made outside AP. If you don't immediately update the ERP system and another invoice turns up and it gets paid, voila, one of those dreaded duplicate payments. Now, this third issue that I want to talk about is internal controls. Sometimes people poo-poo this and they think, what's the big deal? It is a big deal. You need to have strong internal controls throughout your entire procure to pay process, your entire accounts payable process, if you want to avoid mistakes. Okay, your internal controls are what really protect you, if you will, against these little mistakes or what looks like little mistakes that end up getting you into big trouble in accounts payable. Now, before we get to the remaining issues, which are very closely related, if you like this episode, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. We produce new accounts payable and main payment content for the channel every Tuesday and Thursdays. And by the way, we've put together a playlist for most of the items that we've discussed in this piece. So if you wish to investigate some of these items in greater detail, look at the playlist. A link will be below in the show notes and in the comments section below, and you can just go and click on it. But of course, not until you wait till you listen to the rest of this piece, okay? Those links aren't going away. Okay, mistake number 4, and this revolves around your invoice processes, not getting your processes to screens. A lot of the mistakes that happen are due to a data entry error. And if you've got any sort of manual input, and virtually every company out there who's processing invoices, which is basically everybody, has some manual data input, even if you've got already purchased an automation solution, because as you know, we never get to 100% utilization of the automation solution. So your data, your invoice processors are putting in some data. They also have to put in some data if there's a discrepancy and they've had to resolve it. A difference between the purchase order and the invoice or the receiving document. So get your processes to screens. It will make it much easier. They'll become much more efficient, much more effective, and most importantly, much less likely to make one of those dreaded keying errors. Okay. And speaking of data entry, even your very best processes, and I know most of your processes are really, really good, but they won't be 100% accurate when it comes to data entry. So what you want to do is limit data entry, limit the amount of data entry they have, even if they have 2 screens. And of course, one of the ways to do this is to automate your solution. So depending upon how many invoices you have and how complicated they are, you might want to start investigating an automation solution. They've become very user friendly. They're the cost has come down. So even if you looked into this in the past and it wasn't for you, maybe, I'm just saying maybe, not definitely, maybe the time is now. Now, there's a lot to know about automation. It can minimize a lot of the errors that are made in accounts payable that lead to duplicate payments and some other unsavory outcomes. But that's only the beginning if the project is implemented correctly. There are many other potential potholes for the uninitiated. That's why we put together a whole playlist of short videos about the different aspects of accounts payable and or invoice automation. You can watch it right now using a link that will appear momentarily on your screen on YouTube and is in the show notes below. As always, we appreciate your thumbs up, your shares, your subscribes, and your comments.